Hey guys, it's Skeptic, and I was recently sent a video which has been going around on Facebook, and the caption says, "This guy might have just proved in one video that God actually exists," which of course took my interest, but then I saw that the video's got around 1.5 million views, so I realised it's definitely something that I wanted to respond to. So you might have seen this one going around yourself and had your own thoughts, I'm not sure, but let's just get into it, shall we?
My name is Charity Crop. You know what I like? Galaxies. You know what a galaxy looks like? A hurricane. You know what a hurricane looks like? A seashell. You know what a seashell looks like? Your ear. Did you know that you resemble a galaxy?
Well, yeah, actually, and it makes quite a lot of sense when you think about it, because if everything was designed, then you'd expect that the universe and everything in it would have its own unique mathematical and physical makeup. Whereas if everything came about by nature, you'd expect that they'd all abide by some kind of physical and mathematical laws, which you just pointed out that they do.
1.618 is known as the golden ratio, the mathematical value that is found throughout the universe that seems to hint towards a common factor between everything, the fingerprint of God.
I've actually heard this quite a few times before, referring to this golden ratio of 1.62. But the thing is that this argument is only really an argument at all if there was some kind of benefit for everything to have similar mathematic properties, which there isn't. We gain absolutely no benefit from the fact that the mathematical properties of the galaxy are similar to that of our thumbprints. It doesn't do anything for us. And again, all you've really done is point out the fact that there are certain mathematical and physical properties which underlie the universe we live in, which in turn implies a naturalistic evolution of such properties.
You know what a fingerprint looks like? The top of your head, the inside of a head of cabbage. It seems that both your head and the head of cabbage were designed, perfectly, mathematically designed. But that would imply a designer. Is there a God?
Okay, so a baby's hair kind of looks like a cabbage. Well, I'll be damned, there must be a God. What?
Well, the atoms in your body are traceable to exploded stars in the sky. So physicist Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson says that not only are you in the universe, but the universe is in you. You are literally stardust. The law of conservation of mass states that matter can be changed from one form into another. Mixtures can be separated or made, and pure substances can be decomposed. But the total amount of mass remains constant. In other words, the total mass of the universe is constant. Whenever matter undergoes a change, the total mass of the products of that change is the same as it was in the beginning.
What about when Jesus fed the 5,000? Where did all the extra mass of the food come from?
In fact, it is scientifically law, a fact, that your body mass has been here since the beginning of the universe. You are 13.8 billion years old. The time you've spent here on Earth is just how long you've been aware of your existence.
Okay, two things. Firstly, the fact that the atoms that make us up have been around since the universe began is probably untrue, by the way. It was probably created in a supernova a bit later. But even if it was, that wouldn't imply that there was a God. That would just have the same bearing as saying that the planets and the atoms that make up the planets and the stars have been around since the beginning of the universe. It doesn't mean anything. Secondly, no, we haven't been around since the universe began. That would be the same as me saying that this book has been around since the birth of the tree from which was made this paper. That's not how it works. Also, doesn't the idea of us having been around since the universe's inception kind of contradict religious scripture which says that the earth was created, then man?
But in actuality, you have been here since God said, "Let there be light." You said it with him.
Well, according to this Bible, we were actually created 23 verses after God said that.
Are you God? Are you God?
Well, I'm about as much of a god as Jesus would have been if he actually existed, so by the Christian logic, I guess you could say that.
Speaking of God.
Wait, which one? Oh, you mean the one that belongs to the religious doctrine that you happen to have been brought up with? Okay, got it.
Did you know that there are about 20 numbers that dictate the state of this universe? The mass of an electron, the strength of gravity, electromagnetic force, numbers that create our universe. World-renowned physicist Dr. Brian Greene says that these numbers have been measured with incredible precision, but no one has an explanation as to why they have the particular values that they do.
Well, the simple answer is you're absolutely right, and if the numbers had have been any different and humankind never came into existence, well then we wouldn't be here to ask the question in the first place.
He says that if any one of these numbers were altered in even the slightest way, our entire universe would cease to exist. Our universe has been designed, perfectly, mathematically designed. But that would imply a designer. Is there a God?
The reason that these properties are so well adjusted for the universe as we know it today is because if they were adjusted in any other way, then it wouldn't be the universe as we know it today. It would be some kind of different universe, which we may have evolved in, we may not have, who knows. But if we hadn't have done, then we just wouldn't have been around to ask the question. And if the universe had have turned out any differently to how it did, then there'd probably be some other kind of life on some other kind of planet asking itself the same questions.
You ever felt like you were being watched, stared at? Then you turn around and see, yup, that weird guy 6 tables away was indeed staring at you. How did you know that? Could this be proof that there is some other medium by which information can be received other than the 5 senses? Do you see dead people? Probably not, but you do feel eyes.
Well, as it happens, the human eye has a brilliant contrast between the pupils of the eye and the whiteness of the eye, which means it's really easy for us to discern which way someone's looking. So if somebody happens to be looking at you and you don't happen to be looking back, your peripheral vision will actually find it incredibly difficult not to pick up on that, and that gives you the feeling that you're kind of being watched without actually looking and seeing that you're being watched.
You do think about that person that you haven't talked to in months, and then suddenly they call your phone. You do dream about things before they happen. You do speak about people and then they just pop up.
But how often does that actually happen? I mean, sure, it does happen quite a lot. I've experienced it myself. But I think about a lot of people a lot of the time, whether it be people I've just spoken to or people I need to speak to, old friends who I haven't seen in a while. The likelihood that at least one point in my life or a few points in my life that one of these people will happen to call me within the week or so that I've been thinking about them is pretty much inevitable. And on top of that, you don't count all the times that you think about people and they don't contact you, so it's a bit of an unfair analysis, really. So yeah, it's a pretty uncanny phenomenon, but I'm not the first person to point out that it can actually be relatively easily explained away.
You have created things out of sound. Speaking of which, did you know that if you take a plate of salt and place certain sound frequencies at it, that the vibrations will cause the salt to form into perfect geometric shapes? These are pictures of sand created by simply exposing them to strong sound vibrations. Words can literally manipulate the matter around you.
But it isn't the words that do that, is it? You have to play a certain tone if you want to achieve some of the shapes that you've just displayed there. It's about the physics of the sound wave rather than the content of the voice.
This is a picture of jars of rice after 27 days of speaking to them. The jar on the right, people only said I love you to it. The jar on the left, people only said I hate you to it. And thus the I hate you jar molded astoundingly quicker.
Okay, I would really quite like to see the scientific methodology that went into that.
These are pictures of ice crystals. The bottom row was spoken to positively as they froze. The top row was spoken to negatively as they froze. These are the results.
Hang on a second, why is heavy metal bad? It's not intrinsically evil or anything, it's just a genre of music. And in fact, heavy metal music has a completely different type of sound to the softer things that you might associate with niceness. So it's pretty easy to see that if these formations were affected by sound, it would have been due to the volume and the thrashiness of the sound, rather than the lyrics of the sound. I mean, come on.
You can speak your world into existence. There is power in your words. John 1:1 from the King James Version of the Bible says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God."
Wait, so now you're quoting the Bible? The same Bible that completely refutes many of the things that you said in this video, like the fact that the universe is 13.8 billion years old.
You are 13.8 billion years old.
String theory postulates that the entire universe, including me, you, and this screen that you're looking at me on, is composed of microscopic vibrating strings of pure energy. Sound. Words spoken in a language that we don't fully understand.
You know what string theory also postulates? The multiverse theory, which again contradicts the Bible.
Living words. You are the living word.
And yeah, string theory is based upon the idea of little vibrating strings that make up everything in the universe. But as far as I'm aware, there's been no scientific research to suggest that these little strings are making audible sounds that say things like, I hate gay people and you can only be saved through me. I mean, not yet anyway. You never know, do you?
Are you God? If so, nice to meet you. I love you.
But yeah, so what you've done in this video is point out the fact that there's a bunch of mathematical and physical laws which govern the universe that we live in. But I would say that this actually disproves the idea of intelligent design rather than proves it. Why would an intelligent designer restrict themselves from designing specific individual things with unique and appropriate building blocks, and instead vouch for building everything with the same building blocks, even though this can be a detriment to some of the things that they're trying to design? And I guess the last word should be that even if this video did prove that there was some kind of intelligence behind the universe, that wouldn't then in turn prove that this intelligence was the God of the Bible or the God of the Quran. It would just mean that there was some kind of arbitrary first mover behind the universe. And if it isn't the God of the Bible or the God of the Quran, then it really doesn't have that much of an effect on our lives anyway. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to disagree with the caption of this video. Sorry. But anyway, something completely unrelated just before I end the video. I'm incredibly close to hitting 10,000 subscribers, which is Really cool, but I'm going to talk about that more in my next video. But my next video is going to be a Q&A, because I kind of said that I'd do that when I hit 10,000 subscribers. So if you have any kind of questions that you want to see me answer, make sure to leave them in the comments of this video and I'll get around to as many as I can. But until then, I've been Alex O'Connor, or Cosmic Skeptic. You can follow me on social media here. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.